Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yata Parakamlam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivishikam Vidam Sya Om Ajnana Timaranda Shagana Jana Shlakaya Chakshurun Milidam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Gurva Bhishtam Supurakam Gurganara Sisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Vedana Panam Shri Rupa Padanagam Govinda Vidam Ujwalam Bharatanam Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Bande Vishwa Gurun Shah Divyat Bhagavat Prem Noi Bija Pradam Devam Divyatanam Suchandavananam Balarka Shailanshitam Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Varanam Vairagya Vidyamburim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Bandetam Shubharam Mareka Sharanam Nyashishwara Shridaram Vanshakapatarubhyasya Kripasindubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahaprabhu Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. So we're continuing with our reading of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And this is Adi-lila, chapter 7, Lord Chaitanya and 5 features. This is about the Pancha-tattva. Okay, starting with text 128. So then Mahaprabhu is in Benares, or in Varanasi, and the mayavadi sannyasis headed by Prakashananda Saraswati are meeting, when Brahman has invited all the sannyasis and Mahaprabhu to come together, and Mahaprabhu has accepted the invitation because his devotees were saying that they could not tolerate all the blasphemy against him. So then when Mahaprabhu got there, he washed his feet and sat down in the same place where he washed his feet. So then Prakashananda Saraswati came over. First Mahaprabhu showed an effulgence like millions of suns. Then he was sitting what's considered an unclean place. So then Prakashananda Saraswati brought him over and brought him into the assembly. So that gave Prakashananda Saraswati some sukriti. And then Prakashananda asked to Mahaprabhu, you seem as effulgent as Narayan himself, but why is it you have adopted the low-class behavior of sentimentalists and fanatics instead of studying the Vedanta Sutra? Then Mahaprabhu commented, he said, my spiritual master considered me to be a great fool, and he said that I should just chant this Maha Mantra. Then Mahaprabhu said, then I was chanting this Maha Mantra in great happiness. Sometimes I would laugh, and sometimes I would cry, and sometimes I would, my hairs would stand on end like this. Then Mahaprabhu said, I began to think that this chanting is making me crazy, it's making me pagal. And I asked my spiritual master, what kind of mantra have you given me? It's making me crazy. Then my spiritual master said, you're very fortunate, because these are all symptoms of love of Godhead. So continue chanting this Maha Mantra. Then the mayavadi sannyasis, they were all very much impacted by that. It touched their heart, but then they asked, Prakashananda Saraswati asked, but then why don't you why don't you study the Vedanta Sutra? Then Mahaprabhu said, well, first of all, the commentary of Shankaracharya, the Sharirag Bhashya, it's all imaginary, and it's all, and his premise is completely wrong, and he said he has done he's working under the instructions of higher sanction that has asked him to bewilder people in this way, but at the same time, his commentary is taking people away from the proper understanding of what is actual Vedanta. And he says the natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutra is the Srimad Bhagavatam. And then he commented that Shankaracharya, he has said, Mahaprabhu commented that the 4 defects of making mistakes, being an illusion, having imperfect senses, and the cheating propensity, they're not there in the comments of the great sages, and also he said that Shankaracharya says that Vedavyas is mistaken when he talks about the transformation of energy, because supposedly Brahman is unchangeable. So he says that actually that we can see how an object can be performing a function, changing things, without the object being affected. And he gives the example of the touchstone. But I'll continue now with text 128. The touchstone touches metal and changes it into gold, but the touchstone is not changed. So he says these kind of ability of the that we can see this in ordinary objects. He calls it like the touchstone being an ordinary object. That if there is, he says, Prakrita Vastute Jadi Achintya Shakti Hoy Ishwarara Achintya Shakti Iteki Vishmoy. If there is such inconceivable potency in material objects, why should we not believe in the inconceivable potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So this is continuing with the discussion. Pranava se Mahabhakya Vedara Nidan Ishvara Swarupa Pranava Sarva Vishwadam. The Vedic sound vibration Omkara, the principal word in the Vedic literatures, is the basis of all Vedic vibrations. Therefore, one should accept Omkara as a sound representation of the Supreme Personality of God and the reservoir of the cosmic manifestation. So Omkara is chanting of Om. And Mahaprabhu says this is a sound vibration, the representative, the sound vibration of the Supreme Lord in sound. And he says, Sarvashraya Ishwarer Pranavodesh Tattvamasi Bhakya Hoy Vedara Ekadesh. It is the purpose of the Supreme Lord to present Pranava, Omkara, as the reservoir of all Vedic knowledge. The word Tattvamasi are only a partial explanation of the Vedic knowledge. So now Mahaprabhu is establishing his Achintya Beta Beta Tattva, that the living entities, the jivas, they are simultaneously one with the Lord, and that they have the same qualities of the Lord of eternity, knowledge, and happiness that is found in the Lord to an infinite degree, but in the jiva into a small, minute quantity. So he's saying that Tattvamasi, you are this, you are the same as the Supreme. That's only half. That's only half. It is not the whole truth. It is only half of the truth, that we are simultaneously one with the Lord, but also different in the sense, there's a verse, Chaitanas Chaitanam, how's that verse start? Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam Eko Bahu Eko Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam Eko Bahuda Yo Vidudati Kama. So there is one supreme conscious person. There is, all the living entities are conscious, but the supreme is supremely conscious. And the living entities are all eternal, but there is one supreme eternal. And then Eko Bahunam Yo Vidudati Kamam, that one is maintaining everyone else. So Sarvashra Ishvara Pranavadesh Tattvamasi Bhakya Hoy Bederuk Ekadesh. It is the purpose of the Lord to present Pranava, Omkara, as the reservoir of all Vedic knowledge. The words Tattvamasi are only a partial explanation of the Vedic knowledge. So that's saying you are the same as the Lord, but it's not saying at the same time you are the same, but you are different because of the Lord is infinite and you are infinitesimal. And we heard one description of Srila Guru Maharaj when he was in Pakistan one time, speaking to a group of Arya Samaj, and one of them said that if the finite could know the infinite, then he would not be infinite. But Guru Maharaj answered, if the infinite cannot show himself to the finite, then he wouldn't be infinite. So Guru Maharaj defeated that point. And Pranava Mahabhakyas Tata Kore Achadan Mahabhakya Kore Tattvam Asira Stapan. Pranava, Omkara, is the Mahavakya, the principal mantra in the Vedas. Shankaracharya's followers cover this to stress without authority the mantra Tattvamasi. So in the Vedas we'll find Om being the sound representation of the Supreme, but we don't see that Tattvamasi is presented as a principal mantra. So Mahaprabhu is saying that Shankaracharya's diminish the importance of chanting Om, or the Omkara, and they give more importance to Tattvamasi, which is a wrong presentation. Sarva Vedas Sutre Kore Krishnara Abhidan Mukya Vritti Chari Koila Lakana Bhyakyan. In all the Vedic sutras and literatures, it is Lord Krishna who is to be understood, but the followers of Shankaracharya have covered the real meaning of the Vedas with indirect explanations. So there's a saying that a half-truth is worse than a lie, because a lie can be demonstrated to be incorrect, to be false. But a half-truth is appearing to be the truth, but actually it's incomplete. So Tattvamasi is like that. Presented by Shankaracharya as a mantra, principal mantra, but it is like a half-truth. It is saying that the living entities are the same as the Supreme. And they may be the same in qualities, but there is always a difference in that the living entities are always maintained by the Lord. So they cannot be equated to the Lord. But that's what's happening with Shankaracharya and that utilization of the mantra Tattvamasi. Svata Pramana Veda Pramana Shiromani Lakana Korile Svata Pramanatahani. The self-evident Vedic literatures are the highest evidence of all. But if these literatures are interpreted, their self-evident nature is lost. Emata prati sutre sahajarta chadiya gonarta bhyakya kore kalpana korea. To prove their philosophy, the members of the Mayavad school have given up the real, easily understood meaning of the Vedic literature and introduced indirect meanings based on their imaginative powers. Emate prati sutre korana Dushan Shune Chamatkara Hoila Sanyasiragan. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thus showed for each and every sutra the defects of the defects in Shankaracharya's explanations, all the assembled mayavadi sannyasis were struck with wonder. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thus showed for each and every sutra the defects in Shankaracharya's explanations, all the assembled mayavadis were struck with wonder. Sakala sannyasi kohe shunaha Sripad tumije kandile arta enahe bibad. All the mayavadi sannyasis said, Your Holiness, kindly know from us that we actually have no quarrel with your refutation of these meanings, for you have given a clear understanding of the sutras. Acharya Kalpita Artha Iha Sabejani Sampradaya Anurode Tabu Tahamani. We know that all this word jugglery springs from the imagination of Shankaracharya, and yet because we belong to his sect, we accept it, although it does not satisfy us. Mukyarta Bhyakya Kora Deki Tomarabal Mukyarte Lagala Mukyarte Lagala Prabhu Sutra Saka. Now let us see, the Mayavadi sannyasis continued, how well you can describe the sutras in terms of their direct meaning. Hearing this, Mahaprabhu began his direct explanation of the Vedanta Sutra. Brihad Vastu Brahma Kohe Sri Bhagavan Shad Vidaishvarya Purna Paratatvadam. Brahman, who is greater than the greatest, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is full in all six opulences, and therefore he is a reservoir of ultimate truth and absolute knowledge. Swarupa Ishwarya Tara Nahi Mayaganda Sakala Vedera Hoy Bhagavan Se Sambandha. In his original form, the Lord is full with transcendental opulences, which are free from the contamination of the material world. It is understood that in all Vedic literature, the Supreme Lord is the ultimate goal. Tare nirvishesha kohe chid shakti namani arda swarupa namanile purnata hoy hani. When we speak of the Supreme as impersonal, we deny his spiritual potencies. Logically, if you accept half of the truth, you cannot understand the whole. Bhagavan prapti hetu che koriyupai Shravanadi Bhakti Krishna Prapti Rasahai. It is only by devotional service, beginning with hearing, that one can approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the only means to approach him. Se Sarva Vedera Abhideya Nam Sadhana Bhakti Hoite Hoi Primera Udgam. By practicing this regulated devotional service under the direction of the spiritual master, certainly when one awakens one's dormant love of Godhead, this process is called Abhideya. So sadhana bhakti, practicing sadhana bhakti under the direction of the spiritual master, under the direction of the Vaishnavas, this process is called Abhideya. So Sambandha Abhideya Prayojana. Sambandha is the relationship one has with the Lord. Abhideya is a process of satisfying that relationship, which is devotional service, bhakti yoga, and Sambandha Abhideya Prayojana. Prayojana is the goal, which is to develop love for the Lord, Krishna Prema. So Mahaprabhu says, by practicing this regulated devotional service under the direction of the spiritual master, certainly one awakens one's dormant love of Godhead. This process is called Abhideya. So here one should understand, there's some ambiguity in the word practice, because sometimes people think practice means like practicing. A musician, for instance, will practice chanting scales. So and a beginning student will practice. But we also use the word practice in a different sense. When we say, for instance, that this person is a practicing doctor, or medicine is his practice, we don't mean that he's practicing on patients. Where does this liver go? Where does this? He's not practicing, but we say that is his practice. Practice means what he does. So when we say sadhana bhakti, you could say that this is executing the process of devotional service under the guidance of the spiritual master, the devotees, and the scriptures. But it doesn't necessarily mean that everyone who practices sadhana bhakti is just like a musician practicing scales, do, re, mi, like that. So I'm just saying there is the word, I'm talking more about the English word practice than what's here in the Bengali, because it says, Se sarva vedera abhideyanam sadhana bhakti hoite hoy premera udgam. So one will engage in sadhana bhakti, engagement in devotional service. Because sometimes I hear that there's some misunderstanding, and they think that people will think that everything that devotees are doing, because they're not in the perfectional stage of chanting in spontaneous love of Godhead, Rag Marg, and all these things, because they're not in that perfected stage, that therefore they must engage in Vidhi Marg or Vidhi Bhakti. But I think there's some confusion in that, because we're not practitioners of Vidhi per se. Srila Govinda Maharaj has explained that point. He said that the Westerners, he made a joke, he said the Westerners in particular cannot engage in Vidhi Marg or Vidhi Bhakti because they can't even pronounce properly the mantras. So how could they engage in regulated chanting of the mantras when they can't pronounce them? So we're not practitioners of Vidhi Marg, but we are engaged in sadhana bhakti. And there are certain things that will involve some Vidhi also. For instance, the pujari, he's on the altar, and he's engaging in different practices that have some, in the process of deity worship, there is some Vidhi in there, but Srila Maharaj has said that should not interfere in the relationship between the worshipper and the Lord. It should not be, in other words, it shouldn't be a mechanical thing. So, by practicing the regulated devotional service under the direction of the spiritual master, certainly one awakens one's dormant love of God, and this process is called abhideya. Se sarva vedera abhideya nam sadhana bhakti hoite hoy primera udgam. So that practice is sadhana bhakti. Krishnada charane hoy jadi anurag, Krishna binu anyatra tara nahi raherag. If one develops one's love of God and becomes attached to the lotus feet of Krishna, gradually one loses one's attachment to everything else. We all have experience of this. Where are all the friends that you knew previously to becoming a devotee? I have had somebody years later wanted to arrange some meeting of me with my former friends, which I didn't want to do, but because for instance, I'm sure after they were converted, Jagai and Madai, they didn't want to meet with their former friends. So then that person who was arranging the meeting, I said, all right, I will meet with them, but we cannot talk about the past. We have to talk about the present. just talk about the past. We're not reminiscing of just talk about the present. We're not going to reminisce about the past or discuss the past. And then they became angry. And they told that person, forget the meeting. What do you think? We want to just have a meeting with him so he can preach to us? Yes. That was the purpose of what I was saying. But they didn't want that. Your friends, Srila Sridhar Maharaj has said, God save us from our friends.
So-called friends.
Yeah. Your friends, as soon as they find out that you won't drink and eat and be merry with him, they'll say, no, we don't want to associate with him anymore. He's become a
Janardan Maharaj ki
joy.
Dhanyavad. So that is also one of the benefits of devotional service, that all your so-called friends, they will not have any interest in seeing you. And who is a real friend, they'll inquire from you about devotional service. And again, I'm given the example. You can say, well, then that puts someone in a position of ego, where they're supposedly, just preaching to their friends. But no, it's not. I don't see it like that. I've given the example before that if one is eating a meal, a very tasteful meal, something very tasty, and somebody comes to your house while you're eating, you'll naturally ask the person to sit down and eat with you. So it's more in the level of sharing. I've not become a Vishnu witness. I'm not just going out on the corners with a Bible. A Bhagavad Gita, and preaching to the wind. Although that may be accomplished sometime. Okay. Panchama Purushartha se prema mahadan Krishnara Madhurya Rasa Karaya Ashwadan. Love of God, it is so exalted that it is considered to be the fifth goal of human life. By awakening one's love of God, one can attain the platform of conjugal love, tasting it even during the present span of life. Prema hoite Krishna hoy nija bhakta bas, prema hoite paya Krishnara, Seva Sukaras. The Supreme Lord, who is greater than the greatest, becomes submissive to even a very insignificant devotee because of his devotional service. If the beautiful and exalted nature of devotion, it is the beautiful and exalted nature of devotional service that the infinite Lord becomes submissive to the infinitesimal living entity because of it. In reciprocal devotional activities with the Lord, the devotee actually enjoys the transcendental mellow of devotional service. So, why one engages in devotional service? One develops some taste. One develops some taste for devotional service. It is very tasty. It's like something that's very nice. We don't have to do it because we're forced to do it. The devotees are not forced to chant and dance. That's why I asked. Personally, I'm just mentioning is I like very much the way Rajaram sings. I think it's very, very nice, and very tasty. So, when we engage in singing and dancing and chanting, it's because it's something that we like to do. It gives us pleasure. It's not something that we're just doing out of, rote, or, that we're forced to do this. Sambandhavideya prayojananam etinartha sarvasutre paryabasan. One's relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, activities in terms of that relationship, and the ultimate goal of life, to develop love of God. These three subjects are explained in every aphorism of the Vedanta Sutra, for they form the culmination of the entire Vedanta philosophy. Sambandha, Avideya, and Prayojana. Relationship. Everyone is the eternal servant of the Lord. Jivar Swarup Oy, Krishna Nityadas. The process of devotional service, satisfying that relationship, serving the Lord, and developing love of God and prayojana, the goal. Emata sarva sutera bhyakyan shunya sakala sannyasi kohe binoy korea. When all the mayavadi sannyasis thus heard the explanation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on the basis of Sambandha, Videya, and Prayojana, they spoke very humbly. Vedamoy murti tumi sakat narayan kama aparada purve jaikoilun nindan. Dear sir, you are Vedic knowledge personified and are directly Narayan himself. Kindly excuse us for the offenses we previously committed by criticizing you. Say hoiti sanyasira firigelaman Krishna Krishna nama sada koraye grahan. From the moment when the Mayavadi sannyasis heard the explanation of the Vedanta Sutra from the Lord, their minds changed. And on the instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they too chanted, Krishna, Krishna, always. Emate ita sabara kamya parad, sabakare Krishnanam korila prasad. Thus Lord Chaitanya excused all the offenses of the Mayavadi sannyasis and very mercifully blessed them with Krishnanam. Tabe sabha sannyasi Mahaprabhu ke loya bika korilena sabe madhye basaya. After this, all the sannyasis took the Lord into their midst, and thus they all took their meal together. Bika kore Mahaprabhu aila vasagar hena chitra lila gare goranga sundar. After taking lunch among the Mayavadi sannyasis, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is known as Gaurasundar, returned to his residence. Thus the Lord performs his wonderful pastimes. Chandrasekhara Tapanamisha Arasanatan Shunideki and Handita Sabakaramayan. Hearing the arguments of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and seeing his victory, Chandrasekhar, Tapan Mishra, and Sanatan Goswami were all extremely pleased. Prabhu ke dekite aise sakala sannyasi Prabhura prashamsha kore sabha Varanasi. Many Mayavadi sannyasis of Benares came to see the Lord after this incident, and the entire city praised him. Varanasi Puri Aila Sri Krishna Chaitanya Puri Saha Sarvalok Hoila Mahadanya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the city of Varanasi, and all of its people were very thankful. So normally Varanasi is known as a Mayavadi stronghold. That's so many Mayavadis there. But Mahaprabhu converted all the Mayavadi sannyasis, and all the city became attracted to him and were praising him. Laka laka lok aishe prabhu ke dekite mahabida hoila dware nare prabeshite. The crowd at the door of his residence was so great that it numbered hundreds of thousands. Prabhu jabe jana bisheshwara darshane. Prabhu jabe jana bisheshwara darshane. Laka laka lok asi mile sestane. When the Lord went to visit the temple of Vishveshwara, hundreds of thousands of people assembled to see him. Temple of Vishveshwara is Lord Shiva at Varanasi. Snana korite jabe Jana Ganga Tire, Tahai Sakala Lok Hoi Mahabide. Whenever Mahaprabhu went to the banks of the Ganges to take his bath, big crowds of many hundreds of thousands of people assembled there. Bahutuli Prabhu Bole Bo Hari 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 Duhane Kore Lok Swarga Martyabari. Whenever the crowds were too great, Mahaprabhu stood up, raised his hands and chanted Hari Hari, to which all the people responded, filling both the land and sky with the vibration. He would say, Haribo, 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 Haribo. Lokanishtarya Prabhur Chalite Hoilaman Vrindavane Bataila Sri Sanatan. After thus delivering the people in general, the Lord desired to leave Varanasi. After instructing Sri Sanatana Goswami, he sent him toward Vrindavan. Ratre Dibase Lokera Shune Golaha Varanasi Chare Prabhu Aila Nilacha. Because the city of Varanasi was always full of tumultuous crowds, Mahaprabhu, after sending Sanatan to Vrindavan, returned to Jagannath Puri. Adi-lila Kohiba Age Vistara Korea Sankepe Kohilan Ihan Prasangapaya. I've here given a brief account of these pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, but later I shall describe them in an extensive way. E Pancha-tattva Rupe Sri Krishna Chaitanya Krishnanam Premadiya Vishwa Koiladanya. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates of the Pancha-tattva distributed the holy name of the Lord to invoke love of Godhead throughout the universe, and thus the entire universe was thankful. Maturate Pataila Rupa Sanatan Dui Sena Pati Koila Bhakti Pracharan. Lord Chaitanya dispatched the two generals, Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, to Vrindavan to preach the Bhakti cult. Nityananda Gosai, Nityananda Gosane, Pataila Godadeshe, Teho Bhakti Pracharila, Asesha Viseshe. As Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami were sent toward Mathura, so Nityananda Prabhu was sent to Bengal to preach extensively the cult of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Apane Dakina Desh Korilagaman Grame Grame Koila Krishna Nama Pracharan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally went to South India and he broadcast the holy name of Lord Krishna in every village and town. Setubanda Paryanta Koila Bhakta Pracharan Krishna Prema Diya Hoila Sabara Nishtar Setabandhu Parjanta Koila Bhaktira Prachar Krishna Prema Diya Koila Sabara Nishtar. Thus the Lord went to the southernmost tip of the Indian peninsula, known as Setubandha. Everywhere he distributed the bhakti cult and love of Krishna, and in this way he delivered everyone. Eta kohila pancha-tattva vyakyan ihara shravane hoy Chaitanya tattva gyan. I have thus explained the truth of the Pancha-tattva. One who hears this explanation increases in knowledge of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Dvaita Tinjan Srivas Gadadharadi Jata Bhaktagan. While chanting the Pancha-tattva mantra, one must chant the names of Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Dvaita Gadadhar and Srivas with their many devotees. This is the process. Sabakara Parapadme Koti Namaskar Jai Chaitanya Kohi Kichu Chaitanya Bihar. I again and again offer obeisances unto the Pancha-tattva. Thus I think that I will be able to describe something about the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Shri Rupa Raghunath Padijara As Chaitanya Charitamrita Kohe Krishnadas. Praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishnadas, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, falling in their footsteps. Thus end. Okay. Shri Rupa Raghunath Parijaras Chaitanya Charitamrita Kohei Krishnadas. Praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishnadas, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi-lila, 7th chapter, describing Lord Chaitanya in 5 features. A very beautiful chapter of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And remarked how actually what we chant in Navadip during Gaur Purnima is the beginning, the 13th chapter of the Adi-lila, describing his birth and successively his childhood and his education and everything that proceeds from chapter 13. But here in the 7th chapter, we're hearing of Mahaprabhu's pastimes after taking sannyas in the city of Varanasi. So some special, importance given to this. And among other things, I will say, what other things? Importance, previews of coming attractions. Very nice. Something that some taste and some nice description that you're going to hear in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So also what we're planning on doing, I have this, and I've been broadcasting the Chaitanya Charitamrita in sequence. We also did the Chaitanya Bhagavat, the whole Chaitanya Bhagavat, it's on the internet. So this is the 7th chapter. But now we're proceeding towards our program of the Bhakti Yoga Retreat, which will start on Friday. And also we'll have our Govinda Mela, which will come on the 17th to the 21st. So we'll change the sequence a little bit, and we're going to be, having different speakers and different persons will present Chaitanya Charitamrita and the others and talk on different subjects. So that's going to be happening. So probably I'll stop here at the end of the 7th chapter, and then we'll resume reading the 8th chapter of the Chaitanya Charitamrita sometimes after the festival, I believe, like that. And we can hear from our different illustrious Vaishnavas who have come here. Many very wonderful Vaishnavas are coming here to visit. Now we have with us, Madhusudan Maharaj has come. Where have you come from now?
Tomsk, Moscow, London.
Tomsk, Moscow, London. Well, Tomsk is in Siberia, right?
Definitely.
So he's come from the faraway region of Siberia. I remember that, people who were not in favor, let's say, of the central government in Russia, they were sent to Siberia. But our devotees are also in Tomsk, and there's much preaching going on there, and Maharaj was there, and then he's in Moscow, St. Petersburg.
Earlier, yes.
In St. Petersburg also. And here we have Nyasi Maharaj. He has come from Salt Lake City. And Nyasi Maharaj preaches in Salt Lake City. He also spends time in London preaching there. And of course everyone knows Tyagi Maharaj, he's organized the Govinda Mela, and he's also to broadcast the glories of the Govinda Mela. He's traveled across the United States to different places and informing devotees and bringing them to the Govinda Mela. Now we have Raja Ram Prabhu, who came from Ecuador. And Raja Ram I know a long time also, and very, very good Vaishnava preacher and singer. Then we have here with us Pandita. Pandita has come from London, and many devotees from different places have come. Brajamohini from Salt Lake City, and still to come is other devotees like Devashish Prabhu from London, and Vishaka arrived yesterday. She'll be coming soon. Jai Balai from Tijuana. Jai Balai has translated so many of our literatures into Spanish. A very humble devotee, but also very exalted person. So, and I don't know. There are many persons. I don't want to keep naming them because then I'll forget somebody and I'll make some offense. So anyway, this is now coming up. Today is Wednesday, and then our Bhakti Yoga retreat will start on Friday. Yeah. Anyway, yesterday on television they were broadcasting the so-called All-Star game, but those are not real All-Stars. The real All-Stars are coming here to the Bhakti Yoga retreat at the Govinda Mela.
Maharaj, we were going to just this evening have just a little meeting with everyone who's here, living here.
When?
For the Bhakti Yoga retreat, just kind of like a little overview meeting this evening at 7 o'clock.
Pardon me, at 7? It's 8.
Tomorrow, this evening.
Oh, this evening at 7. Okay. All right. Shall we broadcast it?
No, that's just, we'll have a class from Prabhu after. It's just maybe half an hour. We just want to kind of remind everyone of how we can make this a nice place for people who are completely new to come in and not get over-nectarized. Just appropriately nectarized.
Not to get drowned.
That's going to be hard, Maharaj.
I know, that's why we need to have a meeting.
So, anyway, before I was reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, but now what I hope to do is be able to get all the chapters in sequence of the Chaitanya Charitamrita online, because my understanding is people like to listen to it, and Madhusudana Maharaj has read many of our literatures, and he has them available online. But I also like the idea of the Chaitanya Charitamrita being presented in a classroom setting. It's not exactly a classroom, but it's what we call Pat. Pat is reading to the devotees. So when you read to yourself, that's also very nice, but it's like chanting the holy name. You can chant japa to yourself, but it's so much nicer to have Mahasankirtan. That's nicer when you have all the devotees chanting together. So you can read to yourself or read to the devotees, but it's also nice to be able to read in the atmosphere where there are listeners present. Although sometimes our classes there may not be any listeners. But we have listeners out here because we're broadcasting. So now we'll sing Hari Harai. Okay. Then I guess tomorrow we'll go back to our normal schedule, right?
What time is normal, Marsh?
7:30 is class.
Okay.
But today it started at 7.
Wait and see what is the descending will of the Lord.
We'll see what is the will of the Lord. I
think He will fulfill our desire for it to be at 7:30.
all right.
We all want that.
Hare Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama
Hare Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama
Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama
Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama
Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan
Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan
Giridhari Gopinath Maranama
Giridhari Gopinath Maranama
Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra
Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra
Janardan Seva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vina
Varanasi Seva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jai Rupa Sanatana Bhakta Raguna
Jai Rupa Sanatana Bhakta Raguna
Sri Jiva Gopala Bhakta Rasa Raguna
Sri Jiva Gopal Bhakta Rasa Raguna
Jai Gosai Kori Charana Banga
Jai Gosai Kori Charana Banga
Jai Te Vignana Shavi Sapura
Jai Te Vignana Shavi Sapura
Jai Gosai Jarmui Taradas
Jai Gosai Jarmui Taradas
Kastava Prana Renu Mora Panchagra
Rajamala Prana Renu Mora Panchagra
Ader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanivas
Jaya Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanivas
Janame More Ambilas
Janame Janame Mohare Amilas
Jai Gosai Jabe Bhaje Kolabas
Jai Gosai Jai Bhaje Bhagavad
Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korida Prakas
Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakas
Anande Bolo Hare Vaja Vrindavan
Anande Bolo Hare Raja Vrindavan
Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majai Aman
Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majai Aman
Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Gauriya
Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Gauriya
Hari Nam Sankirtana Grohe Naratamona
Hari Ram Sankirtana Kore Naratamana
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama Rama Jai Saparikara Shri Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Juki
Jai.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvajaka Ashtatara Sadasi Srimad Srila Bhakti Nirmalachari Maharaj Ki
Jai.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvajaka Ashtatara Sadasi Srimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki
Jai.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvajaka Ashtatara Sadasi Srimad Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki
Jai.
Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai.
Jai.
Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishoredas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai.
Rubanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai.
Jai.
Navachar Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai.
Jai.
Premsigo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Harshivasri Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Bhagavad Ki Jai. Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vishvavarenya Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhu Ki
Jai.
Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Madhacharya Vrinda Ki
Jai.
Nanda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki
Jai.
Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopi Govardhan Sham Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Ju Ki Jai.
Jai.
Samadhina Bhakta Vrinda Ki
Jai.
Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki
Jai.
All the assembled devotees Ki
Jai.
Sripad Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj Ki
Jai.
Sripad Bhakti Vigraha Nyasi Maharaj Ki
Jai.
Sripad Bhakti Kamal Tyagi Maharaj Ki
Jai.
Shri Rajaram Prabhu Ki
Jai.
All the assembled devotees Ki
Jai.
Gaur Premanand
Hari Hari Bol.
Jai Shri Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj ki
Jai.
Morning Chaitanya Charitamrita class ki Jai. Go.
Hari Bol.